Welcome back to FPL Diff Picks, and it's time to look at my Game Week 24 team. Now I've got 4 free transfers and a bit of a headache because I'm not quite sure what to do. Let's get into it. So let's have a quick look at Game Week 23. A lot of people had a disaster here, mine wasn't too bad. I managed to scrape a green arrow and my ranks them up to 251k with 44 points all out. At last minute I took my captaincy away from Haaland onto Thiago, which felt like a good move. Unfortunately, I had Haaland as my first bench option, as I didn't have a chance to move it to Anderson. So rather than getting Anderson's points off the bench for Bruno G, I ended up with Haaland's, which is a little bit of a shame, I'm not going to lie. So as you can see, Anderson's 8 points remain on the bench. Dubravka's 5 also on there, but like I say, I'm not going to complain too much because I did end up with a green arrow. So let's move on to Game Week 24. So what I said in the intro, I've got 4 free transfers. I'm not necessarily sure quite what I want to do with it. So in defence, I've got Sanchez, O'Reilly and Gabriel. Now O'Reilly's the one that I've got a few question marks over, and I'm not sure whether to keep him longer term. I think I was lucky that he started last week when Haaland and Foden didn't. So I've got a few options. So looking at Fantasy Football Hub stats for the next 5 game weeks, and these are the predicted points. We've got Senesi, Romero, Maguire and Ballard. Now I've already got a Sunderland defender in Mukili, so I'm not sure that I necessarily want Ballard in there. Maguire hadn't even been on my radar at all. Obviously, it was more about Dorgu, but now he's injured. Maybe we'll see Maguire with a few more minutes as well. Romero, I'm quite tempted by, but the thing is, Spurs really haven't kept a clean sheet. I think they've only had a couple this season, and so they're so hit and miss in defence. I'm not that keen on bringing him in either. And then with Senesi, I kind of prefer someone a little bit more deferential. He's already over the 10% ownership, but he is a good price. That's one thing I should know as well, that these are all defenders that are 5 million or less. Obviously, there are a few options I could go for above 5 million too. But I don't know. I think for me, it's probably going to be someone like Romero. I think the 5th choice on this was Collins, and I am considering Collins. Oh, I really can't decide right now. It's really up in the air. Let's see what I do. Then if I move on to the midfield, so Saka, I've still got Cunha, Rodgers, Fernandes, and then an injured Bruno G, so hence why he's got his little yellow background. And so I am considering a few changes here. So whether it will be Cunha to Mbeumo or a replacement for Bruno G, the main people I'm considering are Enzo, Mbeumo and Iliman and Dye, who I've mentioned a lot in my differential videos. Ownership is increasing massively for both Enzo and Mbeumo, so these feel like the ones I should be going for. But as I say, it's the clues in the name. I prefer a differential pick, which is why I was looking at Iliman and Dye, but he didn't do that much on Monday night. So again, not sure quite what I'm going to do here. I have a feeling it's going to be Enzo because I really want some Chelsea representation. And then up front, I've got Haaland and Thiago again. So no surprise here. I have considered potentially changing to have 3 up front and 4 in midfield instead, but the forwards just aren't doing enough. They really don't kind of float my boat, so I think I'm going to stick with Haaland and Thiago. Chelsea is where I feel like I'm missing out. So as I mentioned, I might have to make that Enzo midfield transfer because otherwise I'm looking at João Pedro or Liam Delap, and just the fact that there's 2 of them means there's a bit of a rotation risk, so I'm not convinced that I'll get the minutes that I need. And João Pedro is particularly expensive to have him benched on a regular basis. Then finally, I guess I should discuss captaincy. So at the moment, I'm thinking of captaining either Fernandes or Saka. I think Fernandes has been more consistent with returns, so I'll probably go to him rather than Saka. But again, want to see a little bit later on in the week. But for now, I'm thinking Fernandes. And on the bench, I've got Dubravka, Malik Chow, Anderson, and Mark Guiu. So again, there's a potential transfer there with Guiu, should I wish to upgrade him. I'm going to have to at some point when I want to use my bench boost. So there we are, guys. Thanks for listening. Good luck for the game week. Please like, comment, and subscribe.